Back when Super Mario 3D All-Stars came out, I wanted to test something. I wanted to see how far I could get into the game without using like a Pro Controller or Joy-Cons or anything like that. And I had a couple of controllers at my disposal? Is that the right word? Disposal? Yeah. The first controller I decided to try to use was the NES Controller. You know how NES Online got controllers that attach like Joy-Cons to the Switch to charge them? I figured, why not? That'd be a good place to start, right? Here's me toying around with the NES controller to show you that it actually works. I can control the main menu and whatnot. And, well, unfortunately, the only game we can get into is Super Mario 64, because none of the other games have allow you to use the D-pad to move. Only Super Mario 64 does. Just to prove that I'm not lying, I'm going to boot up Super Mario Sunshine and show you the only thing you can do, because the NES controller only has an A and B button, and both those buttons are allocated to jump for some reason. The only thing you can do is jump, but it starts you in a spot where you can't even get into the game. So, that's cool. And to further prove my point, here's Super Mario Galaxy. Again, I can't move you're supposed to point at this part. That's how you get into it. But you can press the A button, get into the game, no problem. You can make the little thing show up, but the NES controller doesn't have any motion controls, so you can't pick a save file to start, so there's no possibility. We can only go with Super Mario 64. The other controller we can talk about is the Super Nintendo controller. Same thing, there's no control stick, it's only D-pad, so it won't work for the other two games. But because it has the ZR and ZL buttons, as well as an X and Y button, this controller technically has everything we need to beat Super Mario 64. This is beatable, but that's not what we're going for here. We want to give ourselves a challenge. Really, what the challenge boils down to is, can you beat Super Mario 64 without being able to crouch, without the long jump, or without being able to throw punches or kicks? Also, without the ability to ground pound. The L and R button only control cameras on the NES controller, so you can't punch, you can't long jump, and you can't ground pound. So, realistically, how far can you get? You see the D-pad does let you move, but how far can you get into the game is the question. So, let's run through the entire process of things that you could do, right? Of course, you have to get into the castle, right? That's a given. You're going to have to go only to Bob-omb Battlefield. And then once you get to Bob-omb Battlefield, your options are kind of limited. The freeness that comes with going to Bob-omb Battlefield means that you can do a number of things. What they want you to do is they want you to go fight King Bob-omb at the top of the mountain of the battlefield. But you can't do that because all you can do is jump. You can't punch. That's the only way to pick him up. So, okay, you think maybe another option is you can get all 8 red coins, right? The only issue with that is that the 8th red coin is on the island, the floating island in the sky. And there's no way to reach that without a long jump. And the way that you're supposed to get there is to beat King Bob-omb and then talk to the pink Bob-ombs at the beginning of the level, and they'll open the cannon. That's how you're supposed to get there. But you can't do that because you can't beat King Bob-omb. Also, because you can't reach that island, there's a star on that island in a box. In an exclamation mark box. You can't get up there. So that star's off the market too. The only other option, there's 2 more options after that, and one of them is to free the chain chomp. But you can't ground pound, so you can't free the chain chomp. So that only leaves one single option, and the only option left is to get the 100 coin star, to hope that you can scrounge together 100 coins to pick up that star. But you can't do that either. This entire section of footage that I've been using is me running around and getting every coin I can physically get, and the number falls just short of the 100 we need to get the first star. Now, as you know, when you get the first star, that's when the game opens up, but you can't get it. You'll stop short. The number of coins you hit is 84. 84 coins is the most you can get, at least the most I can get. There's a couple of things where maybe I try to bring some bombs close to these boxes that have 5 coins in them, but only those 2 things, that would bring us to 94. That wouldn't bring us to where we need to be. And that's, I don't even remember if they have, they might even have 3 coins in them, I don't know. So let's assume somewhere between 84 and 94, 94 being gracious, which means we're still 6 coins short, and we can't make up those coins. This leaves us with the question of, what do we do now, right? What are we supposed to do now? There's not much we can do now. We can't get any of the stars that we could possibly get, so where do we go from here? Well, unfortunately, this would be where the video ends, but I can keep talking about this because This is actually brilliant game design. This limit is really, really smart. Really what this boils down to is the fact that Nintendo just made the A and B button, the jump button on every set of controllers for 3D All-Stars, right? That's a bad thing. We could argue about that all day. But what it does is it highlights a very simple thing about Mario games that we probably overlook, at least nowadays, I feel. Ever since Mario's creation, what Mario does is run and jump. That's what you can do with Mario. You run and you jump. In Donkey Kong, you run, you jump. In the first Mario Bros. Game, you run, you jump. In Super Mario Bros. 1, you guessed it, you run and you jump. In Super Mario Bros. 2, by gosh, you run and you jump. Now this is where things get different. In Super Mario Bros. 3, you run, but you also jump. Every game I've talked about so far can be beaten by just running and just jumping. The only two things you need to do to beat them. There's only one exception in that group, and that exception is Super Mario Bros. 2. Super Mario Bros. 2 is the only one that requires something beyond running and jumping. Now, Super Mario Bros. 1 and 3, you know, their power-ups and all that stuff, you can use those, but look at any speedrun, you don't need to use them. The only thing you need to do something beyond running and jumping in is Super Mario Bros. 2, and that's the new mechanic of plucking and throwing things, like this bomb, and plucking enemies. And the reason you need to do this and you can't avoid it is because you physically can't progress through the game without it. The only way to physically progress through the game is to beat Birdo. Jumping on Birdo does nothing. Running through Birdo does nothing. You need to land on the eggs that Birdo shoots and hit it with it. That's what needs to happen. You need to land on this egg, throw it 3 times, and then you get to progress. And that's brilliant, because that's the game showing you just how important this mechanic is. You can't progress without it, therefore you can't beat the game without it. It's well designed. Super Mario Odyssey is another great example of this. You can't get through the game unless you learn how to throw Cappy, use Cappy to, platform, and until you capture that frog at the beginning of the game and move forward by learning that a frog gives you a new ability. Brilliant, brilliantly designed. They force you to do that though. But in Super Mario 64, it's much more subtle. Trying to get through Super Mario 64 by only running and jumping will get you nowhere. Here's the footage I'm showing you. It physically can't get you anywhere. The controller limits me to those 2 things that in other games would have been fine, but in this one, not so much. You need to be able to punch, to grab with punch. You need to be able to ground pound before you can go anywhere. Let's assume for a second that somehow I managed to grab a star, right? I triple jumped my way to the island, grabbed a star there, whatever. Even after that, you could probably get a number of stars. Really, the only thing that would hold you back is getting to the Bowser fight. Because once you get to Bowser, you need to grab him by the tail. That's another B button. So, by that logic, you would need at least 5 more B button presses after you get the first star in Bob-omb Battlefield. However you get it. So, you can get as many stars as you want on the first floor. Can't get to the basement. Can't get to the top floor. You're limited there. If you want me to make a video like that, where I, give myself 3 B button presses to beat King Bob-omb and get the first star, and then see how far we can get, I'd be happy to do that. But really, what I wanted to point out with this video was just that brilliant game design, that you're soft-locking yourself unless you force yourself to learn Mario's new moves. It's brilliant design, and I'm not entirely sure how to end this video, so I love you. Like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on Twitch. Watch my other videos. I don't know. This video took like 3 different directions. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you want me to make that video where I give myself 1 star and then see how far I can go with an NES controller. That's, I burped. I'm done here. Bye.